The Vijayanagar state came into existence in the early 14th century. When it comes to the nature of this state, it is argued by Burton's then that this was a transitional phase to a patrimonial state. Max Weber defines patrimonial state as a state with traditional domination. However, Noboru Karashima argues that early Vijayanagar state exhibited strong centralized tendencies, and this resulted in continuous exploitation of the peasant, which led to many peasant rebellions and also fleeing of the peasants from Vijayanagar areas. As a result, some Nayakas were appointed to tackle the situation. The Nayakas were basically a landholding group. They were given certain rights to collect taxes, and also in return they offered military services to the state. So this particular state was established in the early decades of 1300, and Harihara and Bukka, two brothers, they founded the first dynasty, that is Sangam dynasty, and they established their capital on the southern banks of the Tungabhadra river. Bukka succeeded his brother Harihara in 1357. So we know about this particular state from the inscription of 1356. In this inscription we find the reference of Vijayanagar, not much other informations are available. So we only know about the Vijayanagar name from this inscription. From 1368 AD, we see that the Vijayanagar rulers started assuming grand titles. So basically, it gives us the information that perhaps the kingdom became quite a large and expansive territory. During Harihara II and Devaraya II's reign, we see further expansion of the Vijayanagara state. So during Harihara II's reign, the state expanded towards Coromandel coast, and during Devaraya II's reign, the Sangam dynasty inculcated areas in near Orissa, near Kerala, and they also had good diplomatic relation with the contemporary Bahman sultans, and they also received a Persian diplomat, Abdul Razzaq, in the Vijayanagara court. So basically we see prosperity during Harihara II and Devaraya II's reign. The Sangam dynasty was followed by three other dynasties. These include Salubha, Tulubha and Arai Vidu dynasties. Of these, in the Tuluva dynasty's reign, several prominent rulers ruled this area. These include Veera Narasimha and Krishnadevaraya. In case of Krishnadevaraya, he is considered as a great ruler. He was a patron of art, he was a patron of literature. Different religious beliefs and sectarian beliefs flourished in Vijayanagara state during Krishnadevaraya's reign. He also maintained good relations with the Europeans. In this time, when we talk about the 16th century, Portuguese were dominant in the eastern and western coast. So Krishnadevaraya maintained good relation with the Portuguese, and it actually benefited them economically. He also patronized many men of letters, including Allasani Pedanna. So Allasani Pedanna was a Telugu scholar, and Krishnadevaraya himself was also a poet who used to write in Telugu. And his one poem known as Amukta Malyada is well known. This Amukta Malyada poem is on Bhakti Saint Periyalvar and also on Vaishnavism. Besides, we have other literary sources for this time, which includes Raya Vaka Kamu, which talks about Krishnadevaraya's reign. The Vijayanagara state started declining in the mid-17th century. Before that, when we look at the dynasties and the Nayakas of the Vijayanagara time, in the mid-16th century, the Vijayanagara state was defeated by a confederacy of different Dakkani kingdoms, and as a result, many Nayakas who were earlier landlords working under the Vijayanagara kings, they started ruling independently. So we see many smaller kingdoms emerging in South India in the mid-16th century. So when it comes to the administrative divisions, the state was divided into several rajyas. Initially there were Udaigiri, Penugonda and Mukavai rajyas, and later some new rajyas were added, which includes Chandragiri, Padaividu and Tiruvadi. So some of these were later added to the kingdom as the kingdom expanded. So these were basically territories which were administrative divisions in the Vijayanagara kingdom. When it comes to the capital city, there were many capital cities. The most prominent one is the city of Hampi, which was also called as Vijayanagara. Other than that, Hampi, there were other cities that also served as capital city. In this city, there was an urban core which comprised Mahanabami Dibba, an audience hall, and Hazara Ramaswamy Temple in Janana. So basically, this place, that is Mahanabami Dibba, it was a platform where the king used to sit during the Mahanabami celebration or the festivities associated with goddess Durga. Besides, there were other temples that were there in the sacred center of the city, which includes Virupaksha, Achyutaraya, Vithalaswamy temples. During the Vijayanagar reign, different sectarian and religious beliefs flourished. We know that goddesses were worshipped, the Bhakti saints were also supported by the Vijayanagar ruler, and there were also temples that were dedicated to different avatar of Vishnu. So one example is the Tirupati Tirumala temple, which became an important center of religion, and devotees from across South Asia would visit this temple during Vijayanagar reign. Besides, we also have temples dedicated to Advaita philosophy. So Kamakshi temple became a center where Shankara's philosophy, Advaita philosophy, was preached and became popular. When it comes to architecture, the Vijayanagar Empire is credited for creating Nayaka architecture. Now here, when we say Nayaka architecture, it is basically referring to also the architecture that continued to exist during the Nayaka kingdom's reign. Several Nayaka kingdoms emerged in the mid-16th century, and they were earlier tributary of the Vijayanagar kingdom, but later they became independent. So when we talk about temple architecture or Nayaka temple architecture, this is basically a temple architecture that was followed in the entire South India during the Vijayanagar reign and also during the independent Nayaka reigns, different Nayaka kingdoms that existed in this time. So what we see in these temples is that there was a Gopura and there was Kalyana Mandapa, and in the later phase these fissures became grand, the Gopuras became grand, there were 1,000 pillared mandapas added. So basically we see expansion in this temple architecture, but the typical style was something that was common to the Vijayanagara kingdom as well as to the Nayaka architecture.